grand plan of 30 years. So let's see what 30 years we can do for you. And not taken. When Bangladesh government was first come up with 21st century and saying about the vision of 21st century and removing illiteracy from Bangladesh and traffic jam and metropolitan city, people would laugh. And I know some of you also laughed because you didn't believe. But now if you see the traffic jam and the metropolitan and our city and the flyovers and the bridges, you can see there is a more or less difference. So we are just saying, let's hope we can change. We are not, we won't pressurize on just garment industry, but we have a ray of hope that other alternation sources can keep as garment industry. And at a time, garments industry can also run with these other sources. And that way we can make our country in a developed country and from a lower income country to a middle income country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now, let me request the Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition to speak against today's motion.
Imagine you like car racing, and you build a car from the very scratch, from all the parts, that old car, and it finally gets into the race. You're racing with that car. It's doing very good. And simultaneously, you made it to the high-end league with the bigger races and the bigger car. That doesn't mean your car is the best car in the world. That is how our garment sector is. It was built from the scratch. Before, it used to be number 6 in the world status quo, but now it's in the number 2. That doesn't mean our ambition has been fulfilled. The garment industry will be given full focus and will be given even more focus when it goes to number 1. We have not reached number 1 yet. Even after it reaches number 1, we will still not stop because we want to be the best of the best and we want to conquer the world. Now, what I want to explain to the team proposition is that they're living in a bubble where they don't understand many things and they don't have any knowledge on finance. What they don't understand is that when you develop these garment industries, there's not only sewing machines involved in it, there are many other industries related to it. Now, there are buying houses in Bangladesh. Many people work in these buying houses. Now, there are chemical industries related to these. Now, there are more cotton industries related to these because they have buyers. When you have a business, you need customers. Now, they're getting these other industries which are related to it. Why don't you look at your own government? What is the government doing? It is proposing digital Bangladesh. It's already working on that. Do you know why the government can even think about those things? Because once Bangladesh was a poor country due to the garment industry. Because the garment industry brought so much foreign currency into this country that you had the envision of it. Before you were kept in the dark. God taken, ma'am. The garment industry brought the light and now you think that this room is so much illuminated. Look at that part on the left. That there is partial light. I do not want that. I want my country to be illuminated like this, not like that. You are being foolish of thinking that is all right. Now, what we believe from team opposition is that what they're talking about is that my team has talked about, like, let's talk about Saqib Al Hasan. Before, we couldn't play cricket. Now, yesterday we won such a great match. Now, Saqib Al Hasan is the number 1 all-rounder. Bangladesh team is doing very good in cricket and we're progressing, mashallah. But what if what they're proposing is like, all right, fine, Bangladesh is doing really well. Let's focus on football teams because football is not doing that well. But you must understand that Bangladesh, yes, yet has not achieved all its properties, yet it has not achieved everything. Before that, you cannot work on something else. Now, what we believe is that their proposition, it is very much invalid because if we consider the stakeholders of this proposition, there are so many people working. If you go back 16 years back, 2000, in the year 2000, there are so many people unemployed, especially women. Now, they used to go to houses in search of work. Now, you come to 2016, if you go to the village areas, if there are any women who are working, they're working in that garment industry. What did we do? We helped the government in lifting the unemployment problem of the nation. Sit down, ma'am, not taken. Now, what the other things that you don't understand, not only that these individuals are related, but these industries are also related. Now, what another thing
what we believe is that it is not feasible, because what they don't understand is that when you have the garment industry, it combines all these things together. Like I said, people are having visions of making their own industries and other not. Now, let me consider Manchester back in the United Kingdom. What happened to Manchester? Manchester, before, they used to produce clothes, and they used to be just like Bangladesh, and they used to manufacture clothes. Now, what we understand is that as Manchester was working, they started building high-end goods such as suits and lingerie. We want Bangladesh to we want Bangladesh to go to such a state that we don't sew clothes, that we have our own designer clothing, we have our own designer product that is sold to the world internationally. That is what we dream of, and that is what we hope of. Now, what Team Proposition fails to understand is that when all of these are done, and according to the status quo, that Bangladesh, it is doing so well, and what we understand is that Bangladesh today has made the illiterate people help remove their unemployment. But what they don't understand is at the top level, there are still foreign people involved in this country, and they're selling the tagline of made in Bangladesh. But what we want is that even at the top level, even at everywhere, it will be all Bangladeshis. Because in order to make a building, you need to first create the foundation, and you need to create the pillars first. You cannot go and choose what tiles you want, what curtains you want. That can be saved up for the future. Making a proper foundation on the pillars, then you can dream of a bigger future. What they fail to understand is that they think it's partially okay, it's all right, let's think about other things. We believe that passing their motion will put Bangladesh in a jeopardy. Thank you.
Let me now request the member of the Treasury bench to speak in favor of today's motion.
Today, our motion is Bangladesh should search alternative source in lieu of government industry for our continuous industrializations. Mr. Speaker, it's a time we have to remind it again. What do you mean by in lieu of? We mean it that we never postpone the garment industry. We should invest in this way. How it will be investing? First question is that, is the feasibility of this motion? If we look around the first world country like USA, China, we should see that it doesn't depend on only one industry. They depend on different countries, different industries like ICT industry, food industry, etc. If we see in USA or China, we look that in India, they depend on the ship industry 8%, and the ICT industry in 16%, and the ship industry in 14%. Our government proposed that and to complete the Vision 2021, and the rebuttal of this sector, we should believe that before 20 years, have we think that hydroelectricity and we can remove the problem of load shedding? We doesn't think that. So it is the example of it. We can do everything, but the example and the invest in the proper planning. Honorable Speaker, look at the sector. Why we should do it? Honorable Speaker, we want to be the middle east country. Now our position is lower middle class country. In addition of the other country, we can do the country in a strong based economy after 30 years. And this industry, like the garment sector, like the food industry, ship industry, food industry, and the pharmacist, it will be more developed to be the Middle East country. So, Honorable Speaker, it will be remembered that our sector could be remembered. Our sector will be improving and will be developed. And ICT sector would have become the more developing by the freelancing and the project of the high school programming competition. It will be the future of our generation. And this will be total improving our country by the sector. And our IT sector have the 20% of the demand of international qualityful the industry. And this sector and this import and export will go to transfer another country. And by this sector, we get the total demand, and this will impact our economy at long space. Honorable Speaker, you look at the other country. The people are roaming. The people who are investing this, why they should investing? We should invest there, and we would be encouraged by fulfilling the project and by doing the project and make them ensure to success that we would be success by doing this process. So, Honorable Speaker, we have to do this and making the project and giving them ensure that we will be success by this way. So the other question is giving that if there is any loss or gloss, no, Mr. Speaker, because we do not impact on the government industry. We are going to the other process and we are increasing our foreigner and the citizen by this way. From the opposition, the Sakibul Hasan is one of the best all-rounder. Honorable Speaker, if the Sakibul Hasan is absent, our cricket team will go through by the alternative of Mustafa Rahman and the Shomo Sharkar as the another example of it. So, Honorable Speaker, we have to look the alternative and we have to go through in our process. By this way, we can develop our country and we want to be the middle class country. Our Prime Minister is told that it's a grand plan, it's a 30 years plan. So we are going through that. This sector will be improving and day by day it will improve. And after 30 years or more than 20 other these years, we will be a developed country by giving this impact and giving this together. And also our economy will be in strong position and it will be good. And for this, all of this will come in a same position and it will be our government industry if the fall. Now it is second. Okay, fine. It will be up and up, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't fall through. So because it's a business is going to up and down. In this sector, we have the alternative. If it is fall down, and it will be go through. So, Honorable Speaker, it is a very foolish thinking that we stop this country because after 20 years or after 30 years, we need the clothes, we need the RMT. So we have to continue, but we need the alternative to be our country will be more developed. So after summarizing, this House would believe that Bangladesh should search alternative sources in lieu of government industry for a continuous industrialization. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Let me now request the last speaker for today's session, the member of the opposition party. I'd request you to present your arguments against today's motion.
Astonishing claims. They're coming and telling us we need alternatives, and then they're saying we need something side by side. Please do try to understand. You're saying alternatives, and then you're saying side by side. What do you actually mean? I did not happen to understand about that. Now, first of all, the burden of proof that you have and the burden that you talked about, the first speaker comes up and the very first sentence, Honorable Speaker, that she speaks about is burden. That there is a burden on the garments factory. I don't understand where is the actual burden. Your burden of proof was to prove what is the burden that we are having on garments factory. 2009, Bangladesh is the 6th most earning country from RMG. 2015, it is the 2nd most earning country. And international statistics say in the 5 years that are to come, we'll be in the first position. So I don't understand where we actually had the deficit or the burden that RMG is actually giving us. Then you have been talking about different industries. You have not been able to make us understand why do we actually need different industries. You have been talking about establishing a lot of new industries, but why do we need that? Because we need improvement. You do agree, we do agree as well on that too. But you do agree on the point that Bangladesh is a lower middle earning country. So you're talking about 4 particular industries, say pharmacy, ICT, shipbuilding, food. I am saying, why not have 4 more? Why not have 10 more? You're talking about 4 industries, but you need to talk about the money that we would be getting to invest on them. And how do we get that? That money we do get by investing on RMG, which would make us the #1 earning country in RMG, and that additional money should be invested on that particular sectors that you are wanting us to. Now, the point, Honorable Speaker, is I believe they have not understood their motion in the first place, and that is why they have been talking about searching alternatives, and then they're saying that they need something side by side too. I repeat, alternatives and side by side too. I didn't understand their point in the very first place. Now, they have been talking about pharmacy, ICT, shipbuilding, and food. So let's come down to pharmacy. You have been talking about that this pharmacy has been contributing only 1% in GDP, whereas our garments factory has been contributing 13%. Now let's come to this example that Brazil probably say in the last World Cup was in the 6th position. Now in this World Cup they are in the 2nd position. So we go to Brazil and say, let's stop investing in this, as in you cannot be first, so let's do this one thing, let's invest on some other thing. We're saying, let's say there is this cricket game and we're investing on that and we're improving on that. We are the ones who are telling you that yes, we'll be improving things side by side, but we will not be looking for alternatives. And that is exactly why we are saying that let this be the first earning sector in the entire Bangladesh. And what would happen then is we would be having the international market and the extra foreign currency, and then we can invest on all of these things. Now you have been talking about shipbuilding and food too, and about pharmacy. The problem in Bangladesh is we too talk about that we have a higher literacy rate than Pakistan probably, but at the end of the day we do know that our maximum people are unemployed. Now when we establish garments factory, then we do agree to the fact that we don't have as much people educated that are needed in pharmacy sector, ICT sector, and shipbuilding sector. So my maximum people are being employed here, and by investing this money on education, I have my people more educated, and then they would be contributing in this particular sectors. That's how we solve the problem that we had. Now, coming down to the particular fact, in 1980 we had 550 factories, and now we are having 4,490 factories. Honorable Speaker, I'll just take 20 seconds more.
10 seconds.
We have been employing 4.2 million people, whereas and 27.2 billion US dollars have been coming to our country. We are saying that in the past, because of our hard work, we have reached this stage, and only because so we have been able to acquire the 2nd position, and inshallah we'll be having the 1st position in 5 years. So let's invest on this, and that is why we are not asking for alternative, but we are asking for side-by-side things that we can do.
Thank you, dear viewers. As you have noticed that today's motion on Bangladesh should search alternative sources in lieu of garments industry for our continuous industrialization. There was a very competitive debate, and we have just finished the first round, and in the rebuttal round, the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister will have chances to summarize the points in favor of their own position. Let me first request the Honorable Leader of the Opposition to summarize the position of your party. You have 3 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, as my third speaker has already mentioned, our government has actually failed to grasp the motion, the main essence of the motion, that the motion was that we have to search alternatives in lieu of garments industry. Honorable Speaker, we all know that in lieu of means instead of. The literal meaning of in lieu of is instead of. So you cannot just say that, okay, we'll search for alternatives in lieu of the garments industry, and then we'll develop both sides simultaneously. You cannot say that. That is not logical. Then again, Honorable Speaker, let me come to the main clashes. The main clash that we had today was about whether we need all